You're listening to Creative Campfire, where creatives like you come to talk shop, share stories, and light the path for one another. Whether you're here to learn, grow, or just feel a little less alone, welcome to the fire. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Fire. I'm really excited to have this dynamo friend and photographer who's also a Northern California gem. She's been in the business, dare I say 20 years. Oh my gosh, she's going to kill me for saying that. But at least 20 years. Commercial lifestyle, food photographer. She's done it all, been there. She watched her parents have a very creative life, which led her into a creative life. She's an MFA grad. She's worked in all kinds of industries, from Kellogg's to the wine industry to Williams-Sonoma. She's done bedding. She's done babies. She's done every stretch and imagination of food you can imagine. It is the fantastic, dynamic Dawn. Dawn, it's so great to have you here.
Oh my gosh, that was, I think, like the best introduction I've ever had. I feel like I'm walking into an arena or something.
It's like, you have to have that like pump it up song when like you come out on stage. Yes. Or you were a pro athlete. You remember, you probably had a walkout song.
Yeah, like still when I hear that song, it's like,
it takes you back. It gets you ready for competition.
Yes.
Now everyone's going to be like, what's the song, Dawn? Do you remember the name of it?
So in high school, it was Eye of the Tiger because we were the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like my most obvious choice. But even now, like when I'm driving to set, I'll bump some like old school hip hop, like 90s, early 2000s. And I like don't even listen to that kind of music, but that's definitely my like pump it up jam.
I love that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that era, and like classic rock or classic BC Boys. That just gets you, you start rapping along with them. You get all like bopping along in the car. It's good vibes.
I can see that for you. Oh my God.
Well, I'm really excited. I was trying to remember when we met, but I honestly can't remember when we first met. Was it at a portfolio review? Was it at an APA event? I don't even know.
Yeah.
But it's already a number of years ago, and probably
was it Palm Springs Photo Fest?
Could have been. I've been there too. I just know we've crossed paths many times. And then there's one particular portfolio review we were in San Francisco. It had to be at least like 8 years ago, where we actually had like a good sit down chat, and like I was like, oh my God, I know we've crossed paths, we've talked online, but now I feel like we solidified the friendship.
Yeah. That's the thing I miss the most about portfolio reviews in person, to be totally honest. Like I loved sitting down with other photographers and just getting to know them and like being in the same room with them while you're waiting for your next meeting to start. And I feel like as great as the online ones are and everything, like I really liked that part of being in person for reviews.
Yeah, it almost felt, after you'd done it a while, you felt like you were kind of like back at a reunion. You would show up and then you're like, oh my God, so-and-so's here. Have you seen so-and-so? And everybody gets so excited and everybody wants to see everyone's new work. And, how's life? How are the kids? How's the pets? How's the family? Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss that too. I'm a little farther away from those reviews. I will say them in Europe are not, although we all go to dinner as a group in the European ones, which is really nice and different. And everybody kind of sticks together and you're kind of together for like 2 days.
That's right.
But I do miss walking into that room in like New York and like everybody's there, or in LA or in San Fran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also
maybe
a good way to network.
Together.
Yeah, it was like a good way to network too. Like if I was doing reviews in Chicago or LA or New York, it'd be like I would meet other photographers and then I could always hit them up, for assistants or crew in that area. It was just rad. Like I'm still in touch with, so many people I've met at reviews like that.
I know. You got the spreadsheet going, right? You're like, who's in Chicago?
I sure do.
I think that goes to talk to how you make connections and how you build connections and how you talk to the people and how you meet people, right? We're talking about in person right now, but we've really pivoted into an online world. And so how do you make those connections now when you're not in person? Like, how are you seeing showing up digitally?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much harder and it's so different. I'm a very like, I don't know, you know me, like open, honest, like can be kind of goofy. And I mean, that's how I direct and that's how I'm on set. But like, I don't know. I'm just a very person's person. And I think I get a lot of joy out of like my inner relationships. I was raised in a community like with a bunch of people living on the same property. So like community is very deep in my like soul and heart. And I think, yeah, as we've kind of moved away from, in-person meetings and in-person things and like just traveling a lot for things like that. I have been definitely trying to actually use social media to be social. And
Figure.
well, I feel like, okay, so like 2018, 2020, it was all about like this perfectly curated feed. And it was like maybe creatives were finding you there. We're not sure. And then over time, I feel like it's very much moved away from that. And like Instagram is basically what I'm talking about. And that people are going there to get a sense of who you are and how you interact with the world. And so like for years and years, I was using it as a portfolio. And I have recently been trying to lean into like personal brand building on there so that, I have my portfolio, I have my website, but this is a place where people can come and connect and interact. And like, I've been really trying to create conversations and it's kind of working. Like it's rad. Like for the first time in however long, like since whatever, when did I get on Instagram? 2012 or something? I'm actually on there having cool conversations like in my, private messages. And it's been a pretty decent place to connect. And hopefully it will become more and more and more that.
Well, I think that's an interesting point because it definitely is something that, I mean, being in the creative space too, people were always like, oh, you got to put your best work out there. You got to show people what you're doing. And then you got to show like a variety of what you're doing, not just the finished image, but behind the scenes. And so then you started to see like people were showing you how they created that image. And now I think you're even taking it like another step back of saying like, but who is the person behind the person creating the image? And I think now you're watching it progress even more into what are your values? Who are you as a person? And what are those like business struggles beyond just creating the photos?
Yeah, it was so interesting. Like the day that I dismantled my grid, like because like okay, I was always doing BTS in like my stories, and then it evolved to BTS in the Reels tab, and then I started like talking to camera, and that all lived in the Reels tab. And then one day I just realized it was all hidden. And what's the point of bringing all that if someone goes to your feed and they're still just seeing this curated portfolio? And so I like took a screenshot of it and then I just dismantled it and I was like added all the reels in and I think as like a very aesthetic person, that was like a big release for me of just, okay, that's not what I'm doing anymore. We're moving into the current age.
But I think that's got to be hard because I know like there is this like level of discernment, right? Where we want people to see like what is the polished work that we could do. And I use the word polished like in quotes, right? Like what is your finished piece that you're putting out into the world? And it can be really hard when you're walking away from like, okay, I've worked to like curate this aesthetic and now I'm just going to like draw outside the lines and make it super messy.
Yes, it was. Oh my gosh, it was. That's why it's like I remember the day that I dismantled it. Because I think I had thought about it many times and then I was like, okay, here we go, we're gonna do it. And I think it's so much more interesting now. I mean, whatever, you can go to my website and see that, So
you mentioned that you're having more conversations with people because of these topics and things that you're bringing to light. What is something that because I remember watching like one of your first, for those that don't know, Dawn tends to sit in her garage with the door open and it's beautiful light and all her beautiful gear behind her. To kind of paint a picture, if you haven't seen it, you can check out her Instagram, the links in the show notes below. But what was like the impetus for that?
That is a really good question. I think that in general, with the way that I feel like the industry is shifting and moving right now, I felt like I needed to be more like proactive and like put my face out there and start conversations. And, I mean, whatever, I'm 41 now. Like there's an evolution that happens where I think, as we all should, like our priorities change. And, I have been wanting to build more authority and start more conversations so that whatever is happening, wherever I'm going, I have that foundation. And, for me, the biggest surprise that I have found from learning how to talk to camera is how crazy of like an introspective journey it's been. I mean, first of all, it is hard AF. Like it is not something that comes easily to me. And my first so many videos, I mean, dare I say they still suck, but I have seen a progression in like my ability to do them, and they're getting a bit easier. I hope they continue to get easier. But really, it's about, like I said, starting conversations, feeling like, I have a lot of friends and colleagues in this industry. And when we have these one-on-one conversations, they're so rich and they're so deep. And then you're just on your phone and you're just scrolling and scrolling. And I'm like, nobody is talking about this stuff. Like there's people talking about deep things in other industries and about all these things. And I don't know. I just really was like, what if and when I first started doing it, I really felt like I was like blowing up my career. Like as funny as that is, like, because I think that I was so trained so classically, like you have to have this facade, you have to be this way. You have to talk to clients like this. You have to make your portfolio look like this. And everything was so curated. I mean, kind of going back to just having meetings and stuff, it's like you're presenting yourself to the world. And I feel like that's really, really changed. And what people want now is so different than that. And so there's a piece of me that's like untraining myself to be that and just trying to be more Dawn. And you know me personally and you know me professionally, but I really for so many years of my career was just like very professional. And so breaking down that barrier and trying to show more of who I am. And it's been an interesting thing. Like, I mean, it's almost like journaling, it's like you talk or you write and then you read it back or you feel like, oh, I got that out. Like that feels better, or something. So the process has been kind of like, I don't know, it's been a cool thing. And I feel like I'm just beginning and I really want to continue because of like the self-work it's doing for me actually, which I think is about being vulnerable in front of people,
So how are you starting with that journey, right? Like, are you sitting down and thinking back to like, gee, when was the first time I did whatever, X, when
Yeah.
I lit it this way, or when I had my first big crew? Like, are you giving yourself journal prompts to kind of reflect back on? Or are you just like, you're out for a bike ride or you're out for a walk and you're like, oh my God, I remember when.
So many things. Okay, so I started like maybe before I started doing talking to camera, so as you know, I'm like very heavily AI person and I do brain dumps like almost every single day with my AI. And I was just like almost like morning pages, like where it's just this is what's in my brain today and like whatever. And after doing that for a long, long time, it was very clear that I was in this moment of evolution. Like I was reaching for something not different necessarily in my career, but just a different feeling, I guess, in my career. And so I kind of started there and I built this kind of intentional, like Dawn's higher self. This is getting a little woo-woo, like what I want to shift into. And I think it might have started a little bit there. And then I just started thinking about, ideas. I mean, it's actually difficult for me. I think there's a lot of things I could be talking about that I'm not thinking of because they're so baseline to me. And not to say that my audience is baseline, but like important things that are just, oh yeah, like maybe that would be useful to talk about, like, or, how I bid or how, I don't know, like the numbers, or there's like a lot of things that just feel like I could be doing a better job actually of figuring out what to talk about. But that all aside, it kind of started with that of like, okay, I think this would be interesting to my audience. I think, and then it's really just real life stuff. So like I, was on a job and there was no producer and it had talent. And like, I recorded this whole video about how I've always known, that is my hard line. If there's talent on set, there has to be a producer on set. I didn't post it because it was like, I got the job and I shot the job and it was not so great to not have a producer on set. And so I was like, okay, maybe not that. But that kind of got me thinking about, oh, I can just talk about what's happening in my life and like what's happening with a bid or what's happening on a set. And so I did that in the beginning mostly. And then it started to evolve into, oh, let's try to make something more meaningful. And now I have like sheets of brain dump ideas. And I use that sometimes as a starting point. But to be totally honest, Shelly, my son goes to school 20 minutes from me. And every morning on my drive home from school, I do a brain dump. And sometimes that's just like I said, like a journal thing. But a lot of times that's like, here's what's on my mind. And I've trained my AI to understand a bit about like the container I'm building. And so I can brain dump that into it and it will help me it will reflect back to me kind of like, here are the points in here that I think would be good for a garage take, which is what I call it. And then if I'm inspired by any of those things, that's what I'll riff off of. So it's kind of like a checks and balances.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. And I love that you're kind of training a model to be able to take up, like, you get to just talk freely and it then is going to discern down for you or help you analyze like the points, like kind of organize the points for you. So then you could go back and be like, oh, these are great ideas. I'm going to add them to an idea sheet. And I'm going to maybe take this one or two and maybe flesh them out a bit and then see if that works for me.
Yes, exactly. And so also when I started changing up my whole Instagram vibe and being like, okay, I want to be on here as a brand and more of a presence, I took like, I don't know, a handful or two handfuls of free webinars on content creation and personal brand and visibility. And I just took like crazy good notes. And then I pumped all those notes into like one project in AI. And then I've used that to kind of help build that system. And then, of course, that was maybe a month or two before, but then after that, I joined the Yap Challenge, which we all know is a vibe right now. And then from that, I'm also taking every single day's lesson and I'm making really insane notes. And then when that whole thing is over, I'm going to add that to my model. So really it's like, and it can get a little diluted because if you have too many different like ideas in one model, it can get a little contradictive. So I have to go through and kind of weed it out to be like, is anything in here not, in alignment with other things? But yeah, so all that's a very long-winded way of saying I've created like kind of like boundaries for myself. And these are the different kinds of things I want to talk about. And then the model will help me. Like if I do a brain dump, it'll be like, hey, there's actually 3 really great ideas in here. Which one do you want to talk about? And then I'll say, oh, this one's resonating today. Drop the other ones into ClickUp so we have them for another day if I ever can't think of something to talk about.
So much to unpack right there, by the way. So one is, for those that don't know what the Yap Challenge is, can you give us like a quick little summary of what it is, who's running it, why you joined?
Yeah, the Yap Challenge. Okay, so Jessie Jean is her name, and she's just this, I mean, honestly, I can't like sweet, very personable human being on Instagram who has built quite a large following and just did her first launch and has made like $3+ million basically in the last like month, I think, with these launches. Anyways, hugely successful. And it's definitely been a thing on Instagram. It's so funny because like I told you, I've done all these free webinars and I have not really ever joined or paid or anything, but there was just something about her that I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Like it just seemed, I don't know, it seemed like a fit. I was like, I'm going to do it because I had been already talking and I knew I really needed practice. And her whole thing is like reps over research, get it out there. You've got to learn. And to be honest, I mean, it's great. Every single day she gives us a prompt, ideas. It comes with like a 15-minute video. And during that, I'll just like take notes and then I'll do my brain dump. And then I'll try to like meet her. And she just touches on like the psychology behind like there's different posts we're getting kind of dorky, but different posts really have different purposes. And I just had never thought about that really. I mean, I'm not like a content creator. I mean, I'm trying to be one now, but I have never like paid attention to all of that stuff. So for me, it's just been extremely educational and just really it helps every day. It's like after her 15-minute video and all of her ideas that she dumps you literally have no reason not to go film something because it's like she's handing it to you on a silver platter. And then she talks a lot about cadence and she talks a lot about pitch and the psychology behind communicating. And I have a ton to learn there. So
that's so fascinating. I think this is why like people take media training, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's why it's a thing for actors and athletes and even like personalities and people who want to be like motivational speakers, is because there is psychology there. There is like a methodology of like how to tell the story. And I know I have a lot to learn. I'm super fascinated. I signed up for round 2 for anyone that was like, Shelly, are you doing it? Yeah, because I still got lots to learn. And I've been a public speaker since I was 13 years old. So
it's amazing. Yeah, I have to say, so for my first videos, I mean, every other word was like, because I'm a California girl and I say like all the time.
That's your
And
filler
even,
word.
yes, it's my
Yeah.
filler word and everybody has them. But even just in I don't know, I think I'm on like day 14 of it, which she's further. I'm not doing it every single day. I mean, I'm doing every single day for her, but I'm skipping days for me. I have noticed that improve, and I have a long way to go, but I do think that. And I also, Shelly, you know this from my knowing me personally, I talk really fast. Like I'm a fast talker. I'm a blah, 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 blah. So that is an incredibly difficult thing for me to be self-aware about and to slow down. And especially on Instagram where you only have 2 minutes and it's like, so.
Goes fast.
Yeah. So it's been good. It's been really good. I highly recommend it. I'm glad you're doing it.
Thanks. My filler word is so. I say so a lot. I say like, and when I'm in conversation like this and I'm thinking about how I'm going to transition people from one thought to the next, there's a lot of ums that come out, like right now.
Yeah. It's cute because ever since I started filming myself, I've actually been able, when I'm filming other people for work, I'm able to see what their filler words are. I'm like, oh, that's your filler word. Cute. Like it's different for everybody.
Yeah. My brother has a filler word he says basically. That's his filler word. And he'll say it all the time. My mom's is fabulous. Everything is fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah. I was filming a girl the other day and hers is, and it was always like, and I was like, oh my God, I love it.
It's, I call it the drinking game name. Like, so, because like you say it so often, you could really get drunk. And so we were teasing my mom one night about it, and my husband and I had her on speakerphone and we're just chatting, and I said, Mom, you say fabulous.
You're like you're writing him down.
She's like, I do not. I was like, if we had to take a shot for every time you said it in this conversation, we'd have 12 shots. And she's like, amazing. What? No.
It's a real fast way to learn to stop saying your filler word.
It's very cute. It's very cute. But you also touched on AI being the sounding board, right? So if we switch from your filming to backing up a step, and you mentioned connecting AI to ClickUp, which I'm like, oh, we're talking API. Yay. Yes, we're going to geek out here for a minute about how to use the tools that you have at hand and how to use the tools that are most comfortable to you, and then bringing in other thing that can be helpful. And I know one of the things that you've talked about both publicly and privately is the boundaries that you put on AI and what you'll use it for and not use it for. So when building this container, are you conscious of how you want to use it?
Yeah, great question. So I spent like a year plus being terrified and angry at AI. And I think what was going on for me during that time was I was in Midjourney. I was making images. I was trying to use it as like an image gen tool. And it just brought me no joy. Like it was soul sucking. And it's really cute because my husband uses AI to make songs, but he's not like an actual musician, but he loves it. It brings him joy. Like it makes him feel like a creative person. He is a really good poet. So he does like write his own stuff to put in there. And it's really cute. Like I can tell that brings him joy. It doesn't bring me joy. Like, I like to make photos with people with my camera. And so I was like, okay, AI sucks. I don't like it. I hate it, whatever. And then I listened to a talk by a Harvard professor. He's a professor of happiness. And he was talking about AI, and he was talking about how our left brain, right brain, and what the different hemispheres of our brains do. And essentially it boiled down to, if we use our right brain, like if we try, our right brain is connection, creativity, it's like complex problems is what he called it. If we use AI to try to solve anything on that side of the brain, it will truly make us unhappy. And he cited, when Facebook launched and Zuckerberg was like, hey, this is going to cure loneliness. He's like, we all know what happened, right? So really, he's like, we're going to see this. It's going to be like a pandemic. People are going to have to learn that you can't use AI for interpersonal relationship problems or creativity or all these things. It's just not really that great. And so that whole thing, just boom, boom, it switched, flipped a switch in my brain. And all of a sudden, but it was because he was like, but it's amazing at systems. It's amazing at left brain tools. It's amazing at recognizing patterns and doing all these things. And so, for some reason that day, that talk, it just changed everything for me. And from that point on, I started to really be like, how can I use this for the things that I really don't like doing? And how can I solve problems in my business that I'm not great at, that I don't like doing, that I have to do all the time, that the kinds of things that I would literally hire an employee or an assistant to do. And so that has become my kind of guardrails is, what would I hire out if I could, or ask, like an assistant or not assistant, like a intern, And so when I figured that out, I really jumped headfirst into building those systems and figuring out what they were and then creating, AI workflows around those. So I don't even think about it anymore. For me, it doesn't go into my creative space. I mean, that being said, when it's talking to camera videos, I will use like an AI editor to cut those likes out, word gaps. But I don't think that's that's not like a creative process, So I'm not really, yes, it's a creative tool, but outside of that, like I just don't use it for creative things. I mean, sure, I'll use it to storyboard or sketch a concept for a client if I need to, but it just frustrates me when I try to make images with it. I have such I know in my brain what I want an image to look like, and that ain't it.
Well, and I think that distinction, this is something that when I was just at Adobe in New York in early June, one of the things there was really this defining of the AI, right? So you have, like, as you said, there's AI that's like the image generator, what do they call it? The Gen AI, right? And then you have AI tools, which is really around admin or analysis or statistical or pointing you in the right direction to do research. I won't say you should solely rely on it for research because you should do your independent research outside of that. That's my little asterisk there.
Yes.
But for instance, like to prep for today's call that we're doing right now, I went into my container that I made for podcasts. So it knows how I like to run my show. It knows the different segments I like to have. It knows how long the shows are. But I also go in and I say, okay, here's who I'm interviewing. Here's what I know about them. Here's how I know about them. This is my personal connection. These are the things that I think are really interesting about what they're working on. Here's their website, any other additional information I might have for them. I pop it in there and then it will say, okay, here's segment 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's what I think you should talk about. And then if I'm like, well, I know that these are the questions I want to ask to be a better interviewer, I actually will ask it if there's anything that I can work on for follow-up. And one of the things that I do is I'll take the transcripts to learn. I don't do this for every show, but for shows that I think are really, really good, and I think it could have even been better, like it's like a solid B+, and I'm like, man, how could I have gotten that to an A? I'll take the transcripts and feed it into AI and ask it to analyze my questions and the pace and the transitions. And it's fascinating what it comes back with.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's an incredible tool for that kind of thing. I mean, it's an incredible tool for so many things. We could sit down for another 2 hours and just talk about the tools because I mean, I am like, my brain, I right now, I'm like, if you can think it, you can build it. Like that's how I feel about AI right now. And it's really got me like firing on all. I mean, I can't tell you how long it's been since I woke up in the middle of the night and been like, oh, I have to do this test shot or I need to make this photograph, like it just doesn't happen to me anymore. And like multiple times a week, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I have to write this down. I got to make this system. I got to see if I can connect this with that. I got to do this and that. And it's like, my brain is I just like really fired up. I'm fired up. It's cool. It's really cool to see and to feel about like understanding it enough to know what's possible and just being like, wow, this is going to be a journey to get there,
I'm curious on the system side of things. You mentioned AI and ClickUp. Is there anything else that you have seen or tried that you think has really been a game changer for you besides like, oh, what do I want to take off my plate? But like as an actual system, I know one of the things that you had mentioned, just to give you time to think, is like you connected, your email to it and you said, hey, run through this email and see if there's any clients in here that I should reach out to so they could do Google reviews for me, which I was like, oh my God, that light bulb moment when I saw you post that, I was like, that's genius. How come I haven't thought about that? Thanks, Don. I'm going to go do that. But things like that where you're starting to connect the systems, because I know there's a lot of hesitation from people I know to do that. Like, why do I want to put this AI agent in my email or in my ClickUp or in my Notion versus some of these systems already have like a built-in AI. Like we just saw Flowdesk just announced an AI integration, which is like big news. And I see you kind of see it everywhere. Notion has AI in it. ClickUp, clearly you can attach your AI to it. I feel like every week I'm watching Claude roll out with a new integration plan.
Yep.
So what
The
are you seeing
question,
that's working for you?
yeah. So what's working for me? So ClickUp does have like a brain dump AI in it. I don't use it. I use Whisperflow. You could just do your regular whatever. So that's kind of like the beginning of my workflow. Actually, no. Okay. So none of these things are useful or important if you don't have a brand blueprint. If you don't have a really clear, if you haven't educated your AI with who your brand is, like what your brand is, who you are, who your ideal clients are, what are their pain points, what's their avatar, what does a day in their life look like, how are they busy, are they not busy, like what are you selling? So is it a service, is it a product, do you have freebies, do you have a product that you're selling, like everything, your voice, like top to bottom education, everything you can think about your business. So that's like number one. If you don't have that in place, I don't think there's any purpose of like going deeper into building systems, because that is like, to me, the foundation of the house. So since I started talking about this publicly, I've gotten a lot of questions about like, where do I start? And I'm always like, start there. You need to start there. And then, okay, so then from there, what I do is I take like a whiteboard and I just draw a bubble chart of like, if I could make this work. So like, if I could, literally, like, because I'm a visual person, and I'll take a picture of it and I will give it to my AI and I will be like, can we build this? And it's like, yes. Yes, but yes,
Here's these seven.
but
I've got these 27 questions for you to answer.
yeah. So, okay. So that's kind of my like workflow with when I get like new ideas about, can I build this workflow or whatever. But basically for me, I use ClickUp as a way to manage client and client outreach. I use it as a place to manage my content. So yeah, it connects with ClickUp, and I can have it create documents and store documents there. I can have it go in and look at contacts, everything. So essentially, I mean, I have a lot of workflows. One of the ones that I think is the thing that I'm the most proud of that is not ready, but is certainly working for me right now, is a direct client outreach workflow where I take my most recent newsletter, like the highest engagements from that newsletter. So clicks and likes, I export that and I give that to Claude. And I say, so basically it creates, Claude will go and it will research these people and it will put them into ClickUp with all the links to any articles, any blog posts, any recent announcements that they personally have. It can't find them on Instagram, but it can find them on LinkedIn. It can find, like I said, if they have, a lot of creatives have private websites, so it'll pull from their bio, all this stuff. And then it will, in my voice, because I've given it drafts of cold outreach emails, it will draft an outreach email to them. I have it set up to suggest, like, here is a warming period where you should go out and you should comment on their posts on LinkedIn. And I did that for a while, but a lot of people aren't that active on LinkedIn and I can't find them on Instagram. So like that kind of isn't happening as much as I would like, that like research but I do go click on the links that Claude has provided and I go make sure that I look at their profiles and understand them, make sure they're accurate, all that stuff. And sometimes I have to be like, dude, this is not the right person or this is not the right thing. But a lot of times it works really great. And so then there will be an email draft in my drafts folder in my Gmail to them. I will proof it. It will have something personal in it, so that, about my work. It has a map of my website, so it can pull the appropriate links to share based on the kind of work that this person is working on. And I will proofread it, change a few things if I need to, add a small image and send it. And then I use email tracking software in my Gmail to see if they've like opened it, what links they've clicked. And then a week later, I get a reminder in my calendar, did this person follow up? Have they opened the links? I look at it, I say yes or no, and then it will draft a follow-up email. So I have that pretty well dialed. There's a few things that I'm still like finessing in there, but to a point now where I can be doing 10, 20 cold outreach emails a week pretty easily.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so that kind of thing. And then same with like my content creation, I'll do a brain dump. And then within ClickUp, it has like brain dump, drafting, ready to post, posted. And then I will do an audit maybe like once a month, and it will go in and say how these different things performed. And then I have another content that's like more for newsletters and blogs. And so it's all kept in there. And my Claude is all connected to that, where it can go in and update things or pull new ideas. Like if I do a brain dump and I'm like, I don't really know like where this fits into a piece of content, it will then go into my ClickUp where there's probably maybe 50 like brain dump or ideas, and it will match it with any of those that I've already started or things I've done. And it will say, hey, you have this idea. It's this pillar. This goes really well with that. Let's marry these two and, whatever. So that was a lot. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it makes you move so much faster. And it solves the big problem of like for those that listened to the episode that I did with Suzanne Clement, we talked a lot about email and how do you get out of the spam folder and how she is using tools to like, make sure there's like zero bounce and all of these different things. And then this is kind of like a layer on top of like that class we already talked about. And this is even a layer on top of, for those that listen to the Andrew Kerr episode, where we talk a lot about Instagram and how to show up on Instagram and the different pieces of content that you could be creating, his mice method, as well as his, is this awareness and entertainment? Are you now going deeper into something, or are you selling something, which helps you have guidelines as to what you should see for engagement? This is like, you're now in like the master class, right? You've got like those 2 base classes, and now we have Dawn giving you like the grad level stuff on top of those classes. Because I think this is I'm sitting here going, wow, okay, this is stuff like I have it connected in different ways using different platforms, but there's still a lot of manual stuff in between, right? Where I have maybe step 1 and 2, and then I have to do something to get to 3, where what I just listened to you say, I'm like, man, that's like 4 steps that I don't have all those 4 steps to get put together yet. So I think that's really genius that you've been able to kind of mind map that out and see how that can fit together into a process that really works for you. And even though you're kind of hand holding it and double checking every step of the way, which I love because there's still that human element to it. It's not just fully automated.
Yes. And for me, I have this like full stop. I wouldn't let an intern email a client, right? But like I would let an intern draft an email for a client, and then I would proofread it. So I try to just treat Claude like that. Like it needs a little bit of handholding and babysitting, but you can do the majority of the legwork, and I can come in with a fresh mind and like not have spent hours doing that. So I can actually like write a thoughtful, good email or proof a thoughtful, good email. And Shelly, I started where you are. I very much was doing these things like with a little bit of help. And then I was like, this isn't happening fast enough. It's not realistic. I need to make this faster. I need to make this more efficient. And by going in and connecting, and then I'm using a few other external apps to help trigger, it's not just like all happening in Claude. So, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when Zapier became a thing.
Yes.
And people were like, oh, I could create a Zap for that, and I could connect this to this and this to that. And then there became whatever whatever the other app was. It wasn't Zapier. It was this and that. Anyway, it had another acronym that I can't think of right now, but it was like, that was a game changer. And so it's like that on steroids. I know that we just talked about, we talked about using AI to like help you get out there and market yourself and connect those different lines of things. But what do you think when it comes to AI usage for your imagery?
What do I
think? Like the yeah, like if you're working for a brand and they want to, they're going to feed your images into an AI system so that they can train stuff to make their images based on your images.
Well, they're not going to do that because it's in my every single contract I send out that they can't. And if they do want to do that, then they're going to pay me a lot of money. I mean, that is like the above ground version of it. But what people are doing behind closed doors, obviously we don't know, I mean, that's the legal version of it. Shelly, I think that like that's all happening and is going to continue to happen. And, part of me showing up online more and trying to build my audience and trying to start these conversations is because I truly don't know how much longer this career is going to last. I'm not someone who's like, insanely optimistic about the future of commercial photography. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think there will continue to be like really, really high level shoots and there will continue to be content. But I feel like everything in the middle is kind of pushing, it's like they're pushing away. It's like we're getting that gap between, really high level and then just like content, blah, blah, blah. And then there's not a lot in the middle left. So I'm not going to pretend that I don't think that's going to continue to happen and that that's going to happen more and that we're going to continue to get less jobs. And so, for me, I mean, I know this industry front and back, top and bottom, and have been in it for a long time and seen a lot of different iterations of it. And I am really passionate about helping people stay. I think that's the hardest thing to do in our jobs or as any creative is like stay relevant, stay current, like change the ways maybe that you were doing things. And AI use, women entrepreneurs are using AI like I think it's like 25% less than men or something, and it's just like another reason to get out and share this information and get people excited about it so that they can continue to compete and have options and have doorways to go through. I mean, I don't have anything against people who are like loving making images with AI and like selling that and that's working for them. Like that's great for them. It's not like that's just not working for me. It doesn't turn me on, So, not going to lie, part of me building this is like, I want to educate. I want to help teach people in the creative industry or even just small businesses how to implement and set up AI systems for their businesses, different workflows, help give people tools and open doors for people. And I don't, I have ideas about what that looks like. I don't have like a product or, a course or anything. And I don't even know if I'll do that. I mean, one of the thing I love the most about being a commercial photographer is the collaboration and the connection and like being on set and working with stylists and working with producers and working with creative teams and like putting our heads together and making something together. That is absolutely bottom line my favorite thing about this career. And that when you start to go down to like more content creation level, a lot of that goes away. There's less collaboration. There's less people in the room that you are creating with. And it becomes more of like a solo journey and you're just kind of making it and it is whatever. But the collaboration is what I love the most. And, yes, I have worked and have a lot of like national brand clients, but I also live here in Napa, Sonoma, and I have a lot of local businesses that I work with. And when I go out to dinner with my husband at a restaurant and then we go to a show after, like, and I know I personally done photography for both of those businesses and I've contributed to my community in that way. I love that feeling. Like that gives me a lot of sense of pride, And yeah, those weren't the jobs that like paid my mortgage that month, but they made me feel connected with my community, which is insanely, valuable to me. And so when I think about, okay, if this career becomes no longer viable, what would I want to do? If I can continue to do something where I can consult for small businesses and help them implement AI systems, I think it would give me that same sense of connection to my community because I will have felt like I helped them. I helped them up level and which is what I'm doing with my photos too. So I don't know. It's very weird that those two things can almost be like a reflection of each other, but it's something that I've realized it's a way to stay connected in this community as I think a lot of us are kind of feeling like it's unraveling and what are we doing? And, what does the future look like? And does that make sense?
It does. It's an evolution. I mean, I think this is where you started the conversation, right? Of what is important to you at your core. And one of the things that you listed was community, right? Community is very near and dear to your heart. On top of that is collaboration. And so if you get to work with a small business and you get to help them up level through collaborating with them and help your community stay thriving and vibrant, because then they get to stay in business and maybe they make better connections or faster sales or whatever it is, you can help them with supply chain, then their business, moves faster, they could do more things. They get to reap those benefits as well of the things that you've learned. So I think I connect those dots. I get it. And I think this gets to the conversation we have a lot now in our industry, which is diversification of income, and how this is something that, to your point of this gap or large chasm that has opened up in our business, which is, people are kind of moving to these higher end. If you're on the higher end or you're getting those higher end production company type of work where you get to have we'll say a minimum team of 4 to 5 people and maybe bigger, versus the solo person who's wearing all the hats, or the content creator that's showing up, more than likely with their phone, and they're like filming stuff at like the local restaurant or whatever. There's kind of these tiers. And I think I even see that in the industry where like you either get invited as a photographer to that industry event, or you get invited as a content creator to that event. And they're not seen as equal. They're seen as two different things. And a lot of times I'm like, how are you separating those? Like, some photographers are content creators and some content creators are photographers. And there's a lot of overlap and gray there. But I digress. This is really about how you're looking at the bigger picture, the bigger pie of what you're doing, and figuring out how are your skills transferable. And not only that, but how does that relate back to who you are and what your belief system is?
Yeah. I mean, I am kind of in that journey of discovery right now. Yeah. A couple years ago, when it became very obvious that the need for social content was just insatiable, and that some of not my top tier, like national brand clients, but some of my more local clients stopped having, $30,000 to spend on a 1-day or a 2-day photo shoot because they were paying their social content agency $20K a month, and like they just didn't need that anymore. And I was like, okay, what? Like, I got to get over there. Like, that's where the money's going. So,
Yeah.
So like a few years ago, I did start a small agency model where sometimes myself, sometimes other photographers will go out and shoot for these clients of mine who need monthly content. So we learn the brand very well, and we learn the marketing team, and we go shoot a couple hours a month and really fill that need for them. And, that has been somewhat successful. I would say it's a great way to, when I get like a winery client or a local packaged good company or, a food client, where I can like hang on to that business. So like, yeah, maybe they did hire me to come do a 1 or 2 day, product and situation or lifestyle shoot. And then when that shoot's over, I'm like, hey, by the way, guess what? I have this agency. And if you'd like to keep working with me and my team, we can do that. So, if you liked your experience, and then that's kind of how I've captured some of that ongoing monthly retainer client love. So that's one thing. And then also, I think really some form of education, some form of, whether it's teaching these like AI for creatives for left brain tasks, something in that world, or consulting for small businesses, or even consulting for larger businesses in our industry. So maybe an artist rep, going in and saying, hey, do you have any AI systems set up? No. Let me help you out. I'm going to come sit with you at your desk for a week. And I'm going to talk about the first day. We're not even going to look at our computers. We're going to talk about your business. We're going to talk about the things you spend your time on. We're going to talk about the things you like doing, the things you don't like doing. I'm very passionate about not using AI for the things you're good at and like doing. If you're an amazing writer, don't let AI write for you. If you like to write, but you're a terrible speller and you don't like grammar is something that you basically never learned, like me, then let AI help you, don't let it take your voice, but let it help you. Let it be your editor, So, and I've had people come to me and be like, well, I don't want to use AI. Like I'm a great writer. I'm like, don't use it for writing. That's a terrible thing to use it for then. What are you bad at? You don't like accounting? Use it for that. So yeah, so I don't know I don't know what I know what I'm trying to build. I know the person that I am and the skills I have to share. So I know what I'm building in that sense with my Instagram, but I don't know like what I will be selling from that journey eventually. I'm just not there yet. And I'm one thing that Jessie Jean talks about a lot is like, let your audience tell you. She talks a lot about like, if you put stuff out, if you do these reps, if you talk, it will become very obvious what your audience wants you to talk about. And then you talk more about that. So I'm trying to get to that place where I get the kind of feedback from my audience that I'm like, oh, this is really interesting to them. I know a lot about this. I'm going to talk about this more. I haven't really like figured that out yet, but I guess I have a lot more reps to do.
Well, I mean, if we just look at her journey, if we look at Jesse's journey, she was talking about all kinds of different things. And she talked about her money journey every month. She talked about furniture
flipping.
She talked about being in the career transition, and she talks a lot about trying to find herself. And that really is what I think people were super fascinated with, is this in-between space. And so then she just kept talking more and more and more about that. And now she's been on like every news platform in the last like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, of like yapping, right? Speaking of like getting in front of the camera, talking, letting your audience dictate maybe what's going to come up more and more of your brain dumps. Let's talk about Dawn, the whole person. Yes, you run a business. Yes, you want it to be more efficient. Yes, you want to be able to get more stuff out the door and ship more things and get more conversations. But how does that help you be a better mom? How does that help you be a better self? How does that help you show up and be a better wife and partner and friend and daughter and all of the other hats that you wear?
Yeah, I think that the community piece and the educating piece, just in the last, like, I don't know, less than 6 months since I've really jumped in with how much AI can support me with my business tasks, I'm like, oh my God, I can grow now. I can scale. I have so much more time to think and like have these creative ideas. And so there's like a passion in me to really bring that to other people and to like genuinely help people who are like, how is this going to work for me? How will this help me? I mean, I think AI is here to stay. I don't know if you saw my post where I was like, I don't like AI. Like if I could wave my magic wand and make it go away, I would. Like that is true. Like I would do that. I don't think that I have no idea what the next evolution of humanity is going to look like. But it is here, people. It's not leaving. So figuring out, I think, how it can support us to be more efficient, to make more money, to do all those things, I think is really great. And so I'm really passionate about that. And I want to bring that to my community, whether it's virtually or people online or people that live in this town or the next town over. Our personal life has been pretty crazy the last couple of years. My husband was unemployed for 6 months and just, only 2-3 months ago started a new job, and it's a sales job. So he ramps up. He's not making his full, salary commission structure yet. I have had a slower last few years than I have in the past. And we have parents who are not doing well with their health. And we just have a lot going on in our lives. And so, I think trying to find our footing as a family and stay connected. I mean, my son is an extremely picky eater. I use AI to make him like print out coloring page placemats for the meals I serve him for dinner. And he gets to like color in as he eats the different food items on his plate. Like, so if he has 4 carrots, he colors the 4 carrots. And then if he gets to the end and it's like the pirate's, booty or whatever, he gets like whatever he gets, like a scoop of ice cream or I don't know, some to watch TV the next day or I don't know, whatever it is. So I don't know, I use it in all kinds of ways like that. I made myself like, I have a really large garden. I've made myself a garden schedule, different things I need to never forget to do different times a year, mulch and trim back the foliage on the bulbs and blah, blah, blah. So like just basic, things. I love cooking. I'd say cooking is like one of my biggest creative outlets. And, my AI has helped me to really it knows the kind of the ways I like to cook. And it doesn't ever like really give me recipes, but I will use it as a creative partner to come up with like recipe ideas or like, hey, I had this thing at this restaurant. I'd like to try to recreate it, or I want to, whatever. What would it be weird if I added this to it? I don't know, like just kind of a creative partner. So yeah, I think really I talked about it earlier when I just talked about community and creative values. And I think that AI is it's helping me. It's giving me time back. I mean, a lot of people I know are on the fence about whether that's true or not. And it's not always true. I mean, there's plenty of ways to waste time using AI. And there's plenty of ways that you can just, waste a lot of time and have very little ROI. But once you get past that and you really understand, once you set those systems up and you invest in that, it really is giving me time back.
Well, I think we could waste time no matter what. I mean, we were probably wasting time before we had AI, right? And one of the things that I did with recently was I did a time audit. So to your brain dump of ideas, what I was doing was I set the container of this is what I'm doing. This is how long this is going to run for. This is a test every day. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to tell you what time it is. I'm going to tell you what's on my to-do list. Any new things that have been downloaded during the night, you're going to get. And then I had it help me kind of try to prioritize like based on my day, because I had a very crazy month that I had travel. I was in a different state, or well, one, I was in a different country and in a different state. And two, then I came back and I had guests staying with me. And then I had like a 2-day window with no people here. And then I had more guests staying with me for like 3 or 4 days. And now they're gone for a couple days. And then I have friends that are in town, but they're not staying with me. And then I have that same family that's right. So like a lot going on, but I have so much happening. Plus I had a launch during all of this. And I was like, I need help. Like I need help with how to plan, how to do all of the things, how to keep all the things going. And I said, at the same time, I want to do a time audit so I could see where is my time leaking? And am I doing things that light me up, that make me excited? Is there potential of things that are happening that I'm headed towards burnout? And I've put those guide rails already like in the AI so it knows kind of what to look for. And it was fascinating. So I did it for a week. And after a week, I asked it some questions, bless you. I asked it some questions and it did a nice analysis of like, here's what's working, here's what's not working, here's some things that I see that might be an issue. And then I was like, nope, that's not an issue. That's how I like to work. I don't like to start work before 10 a.m. Like sit down at my desk type of work at 10 a.m. I'm doing other things. I've already checked email. I've already looked at my DMs. I've already done my brain dump for the morning. But like sit down doing like focused task work starts at 10 a.m. And I was like, oh, right. I didn't tell you that. So now you think that I'm like lazy because I got up at 5:45 and I didn't start working till 10 a.m. And then I actually told AI, I said, you have to remember, I'm a human and not a computer. I actually need breaks in between my day. I don't just go for 24 hours a day. And then it wrote back, ha, ha, ha. You're right. You're a human.
I have definitely had to push back a few times and be like, why are you giving me, you know way more about me than this. Why are you giving me such crappy output? Or why are you telling me this isn't possible? I know this is possible. So you do have to show up sometimes and defend yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things I learned not only about how to be a better speaker and learning how to be a better speaker through the transcript download stuff, but also just through doing that time audit, it was a good check-in with, I constantly feel like I get nothing done. Like I get to the end of the day and I'm like, what did I do today? Like, oh my God, the day like flew by, nothing happened. Like I didn't do anything.
Yes.
And so by doing that, I get a nice reflection of, Shelly, you did like 27 things today.
Yes.
You know, you spent time thinking about this, or you spent time doing that, or even though you didn't do that test shoot, you actually worked on the recipe for the test shoot, or you went for that walk, or you had that phone call, or you did, XYZ. And that's been a big mental game changer for me because I was slipping into that, like I'm getting nothing done, nothing's moving forward, nothing's happening, everything's stagnant. And then I'm like, oh no, look, you got a lot done. And you had guests in your house.
Okay, 2 things. 1, I want to know how you did that time audit. So I want you to tell me. And then 2, I want to just say as business owners, I mean, I was talking to my best friend about this the other day. There are some days I feel like I got 3 days worth of stuff done. And then there are some days that I'm like, I didn't really get that much done today. And I think we have to just, ebb and flow with that sometimes as business owners, because sometimes, I mean, also like my filming, I cannot film if I am on my cycle. I probably shouldn't be saying this. I don't know your men to women ratio, but like I like to film not during that time of the month, like it's crazy. Like I like to trust my natural body's rhythms. And it's like, okay, this time of the month, maybe I'm just going to post some static stuff and I'm not going to talk to camera. It's just really interesting, I think. So anyways, just give yourself some grace because as business owners, we have highly productive days and less productive days. And as creatives, that's also true. And I think it's important that we give ourselves breaks sometimes.
I think the mental thing is really a key piece. I mean, in this one is like, follow your natural rhythm, whether you're male or female or non-identifying, you have a hormone cycle. And I jokingly tell my husband, I'm like, are you on your period? Because like you're acting super weird and men have it too. And I think that that's an important thing to pick up on. Like, I don't feel like sitting in front of the camera if it's, during this period of time.
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you feel less creative, but it's knowing yourself, which I think is why like doing something like a health audit. There's a woman in a group I'm in who she started using AI to really help map out how she's feeling, the food she was eating, like all this kind of wellness around her body. And she discovered all kinds of things about herself. And she discovered like, oh, if it's, the beginning of the month, I need to be eating like this to feel better. And then in the middle of the month, things kind of shift and I need to be eating these other things to feel like this. And I'm like, oh, that's really fascinating. Like I never thought to track that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Pattern recognition. That's like AI's best.
Yeah. It's its zone of genius.
Yeah. So did you record your, do you want to talk about this? We don't have to. I don't know.
We can. What's
your
the question?
time? Well, you said you audited your time.
The time audit.
I want to know, how did you do that?
So I use Claude. I made a container. I love the speaking feature in Claude. Sometimes I'll turn on so they can talk back to you. It feels very odd to listen to a voice talk back to you. I tend to use the one where I just hit the mic and I can just blather on for however long I want. And then, but I set the container, or the project, right? So if you use Claude, there's projects. The other systems have it too. I specifically like Claude. There's a number of reasons I like Claude. If you want to know, you can DM me.
I just canceled my chat.
Yeah. Well, I
was like, I'm not using it. I'm just not using it. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of reasons to get rid of chat. It talks to the Department of War. So there you go. That's a big one to get rid of chat. I never paid for chat. I still have some stuff over on chat that I'm slowly bringing over to Claude. I do know that you can connect them and have it work, but I really don't want them to talk to each other. Maybe that's just me. But in Claude, I opened a project. I typed out in the project, like what the goal of the project is, what I'm trying to do. And then just started talking to it and saying like, this is the goal. Here's the day. This is how long I'm going to run it. These are roughly the check-ins I'm going to do, one in the morning when I finish those tasks. So I basically based it on meal times. That was like my cue to go into Claude and talk and be like, here's all of the things that I just did. Or anytime I was transitioning from a task to a task, which I tend to get up and make a cup of coffee. Well, I don't drink coffee. Make a cup of tea or have a glass of water, whatever it is. Those were instant cues for me to be like, oh, right, tell Claude what I'm doing or what I've done. So I would tell it what I've done. It would maybe reshift my priorities for the day. And then I would recap every night and then do it all over the next day and the next day and the next day until I finally got at least 5 days worth of data. And then I had it do an analysis and I had very specific questions. There was roughly 5 questions. One's around things that are bringing me joy, things that are leading to burnout, analyze where I'm leaking time. And I can't think of the 4th one, but it had to do around moving my business forward. Like what activities am I doing to move my business forward towards profitability?
Cool.
Yeah. And it was really good. And so now I'm in the break, but I could already tell that I should go back and keep doing it because when I'm doing it, I'm in a better mental space because I am seeing the progress happen, even though like there's periods where you're in very slow movement. Right now, I'm in like kind of the money desert. It's getting a little hot in the money desert. But I'm working towards changing that. So I have to constantly be like, the oasis it's right there. I can see it. I'm almost there. Right. So by doing that kind of constant check-in and seeing the progress that I'm making towards moving towards the oasis, I'm like, oh, I feel a lot better. And right now I haven't been doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm never going to get there. It's never going to happen. I'm just going to die out here of thirst.
It's like, you've seen those memes. It's like, being a business owner, it's like you wake up in the morning and it's like you're on the high and then something happens.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah. And the whole
I should never. Yeah. It's like, that's how it feels some days.
Yeah. So, I mean, I will say it's super helpful. Like right now, what was I working on? Like I'm working on my whole funnel flow. So I know from all of my training and classes I've taken, like what a traditional funnel flow looks like. And I'm trying to see if that's still what I want to do. Does that fit me and how I want to run my business? Even though, because I really believe that it's not a one size fits all solution for people. So like I've tried a few things and now I'm going back to like, okay, well, I have this freebie that's really, really good and I want to just get it out there for more people to have. And then maybe that will lead to like the DIY project, the DIY stuff that I have. And then that would lead to like the one-to-one, like more high ticket stuff that I have. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the traditional model. Let's go back to that and see if that works. And then I'll cherry pick. Like I have people who come to me, they're like, hey, that was really interesting. I want to know more about that. And I'm like, oh, well, you don't need to go through this flow. You just need this thing over here. Let's take that off the shelf.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I'm definitely in this kind of repositioning of business, of re-looking at photography as a career versus a creative outlet. I'm starting a new photo project this month. That's just for me to get excited about something again.
Heck yeah.
So,
That's
and
good.
then, I like teaching like you're finding like this way of like, oh, I really enjoy teaching. Like there's this give back that's happening that's really fulfills you. I get really excited when I get to like be a co-pilot or a sidekick to someone and then get to see them like take flight. It's so rewarding. And I mean, I won't lie. There's times where I'm like, damn, Shelly, if you just did that for yourself, wouldn't that be so cool?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, no, like that was so cool. Like I helped get them that job or move them in the direction they wanted to go. And like I had a call earlier today with someone who I have very high esteem for and very much look up to. And she's coming to me to say like, hey, like, can you help me with my business? And I'm like, you need help with your business? Like, I think you're crushing it. And she's like, no, like what you do is what I need. And I like super like humbled and like I love that.
Yeah.
And of course honored to like help people move their business along. So I'm like, maybe it's the time for me to lean into that as my body is falling apart and we're moving country maybe in 6 months. So
we all need help in certain areas. And that's, like, it's funny because I have been sending large email newsletters to my commercial list of clients. And that has fluctuated, but like, at times been up to like 9,000 people. Like if I've only was sending out one email a quarter. And now I've never learned email marketing. I never took a class on email marketing. I don't like know how to set up a funnel. Like what you're talking about, like that is if I'm going to move into this world where I
you'll
am
call
doing.
me.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying we all need help in different places. We're not all just amazing at everything.
Yeah. And I think this is a big piece of it, which is asking for help. I think we really have moved into a society, definitely in the last 10 years, if not the last 20 years, of getting out of the habit of asking for things. And so when I ran my mentorship program, one of the tasks we had, which started every February, and maybe because it was Valentine's Day, I don't know, but it always started every February, and it was the 100 no project. And it was, you're trying to get 100 no's. You're asking for things and you're trying to get a no. And it was kind of flipping the script of like, man, I got to know that really sucked. And so that could be you're asking for business, but it could also be like the guy, there's a famous YouTube video of this guy asking for free refills of fries at a McDonald's. Or asking a guy on the street for $100, asking a chauffeur of this limo that's sitting outside this like building, asking him for a ride. It's amazing how many yeses he got. He was really thinking he's going to get no's. He got a yes on the french fries. He got a yes on the $100. He got a yes on that limo ride. He's like, this is insane. And so I'm like, this is just a reminder of you got to ask. Like the art of asking is kind of lost on us.
My husband will tell you I'm really good at asking. And probably anybody who's ever been on set with me. I'm actually like, I don't know. I'm not happy to ask. I'm happy to be told no, but I'm a good asker. So I will come to you when I need that.
Yep. Well, I'll be waiting for it. Dawn, if people want to hear you chatting at the camera, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram and it's just Dawn Heumann. I think just one word. It might have an underscore. It's not a lot of other people like me. It won't be hard to find.
And if they want to check out your beautiful work, where should they go?
DawnHeumann.com.
This has been really fun. We'll have to have you come back. Maybe we could do like a state of the industry. We can do like a quarterly chat of what you're learning, what's happening now.
Yeah. Or
where
like
things are moving.
A more of a roundtable. I mean, I'm actually hosting tonight my AI dinner party. And I'm having 5 women are coming with their laptops. I'm making dinner. I have an agenda of like what we're building. what we did build, what didn't work, what's in our stack, all that good stuff. And so I'm hoping to get everybody a little bit drunk and just talk AI and share.
Oh man, if I was in town, I would bring my laptop.
I know. You would be a great addition. Actually, a lot of people I posted this online and a lot of people have been like, I want to come, way too many than can. So there will be other renditions of this. But tonight's the opening.
I love it.
Yeah.
Beta test it, Dawn. Beta test it.
Yeah. Having me, I could always just talk to you for hours and hours and hours. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's be in touch.
Have you ever thought, gee, you could really use a thinking partner, not just more advice, someone who's actually going to move the needle and help you implement in your business? Welcome, Creative Sidekick. It's our new one-on-one program where we actually work with you in your business. And it is a monthly support built around what you do and how you do it. If you'd like to learn more, head to creativecamp.pro/sidekick. I need to put the fire out for now, but the conversation doesn't have to end here. Come hang out with us on Instagram at creativecamp.pro. Drop your questions, share your thoughts, and tag us in your stories. The more people we gather around the fire, the better the conversation gets. If you'd like to support the show, you can buy us a coffee and sign up for our newsletter. Links are in the show notes below. We'll stoke the fire again real soon, but until then, keep creating, keep connecting, and I'll see you next time around the campfire.